Hello, everyone. Few Hollywood rivalries have simmered under the surface with as much quiet intensity and unspoken bitterness as the one between Robert Duvall and the man he reportedly couldn't stand more than anyone else. A fellow actor whose attitude, ego, and behind-the-scenes behavior clashed so violently with Duvall's old-school values that the tension between them became legendary among insiders, even if it never fully spilled into public view. Robert Duvall, the iconic star of The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Tender Mercies, and countless other masterpieces, has always been known as a man of fierce integrity, a no-nonsense, salt-of-the-earth performer who values authenticity, discipline, and truth in acting above all else. He came from the school of Brando and Stanislavski, where craft mattered more than celebrity, and where respect for the work was sacred. But in an industry where method acting sometimes bleeds into madness, Duvall's straightforward approach often collided with co-stars who mistook chaos for genius, and nowhere was that clash more volatile than with a particular actor he worked with, a man whose obsessive preparation and emotional volatility turned what should have been creative collaboration into personal warfare. The story begins during the filming of Apocalypse Now, Francis Ford Coppola's nightmarish masterpiece shot in the jungles of the Philippines. The production was infamously chaotic, plagued by weather disasters, sickness, drugs, and spiraling egos, and for Duvall, who played the unforgettable Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore, it was a test of endurance and professionalism. While most of the cast struggled with the conditions, Duvall remained disciplined, delivering his lines with calm precision and creating one of the most iconic moments in film history. "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." But behind that cool exterior, he was watching his co-star, Marlon Brando, unravel the set with unpredictability, lateness, and eccentricity. Brando, revered as a genius by some and reviled as impossible by others, arrived overweight, unprepared, and demanding rewrites every day. Duvall, a man who came ready, lines memorized, and scenes studied, found Brando's behavior intolerable. He didn't respect the process, Duvall would later say in interviews, though carefully avoiding naming names. Yet those close to him knew exactly who he was referring to. Brando's artistic chaos might have fascinated directors, but to Duvall, it was the antithesis of professionalism. He reportedly told crew members that acting with Brando felt like playing tennis with someone who refuses to hit the ball back. The tension between the two men simmered throughout the production. Brando, who was used to commanding attention, was irritated by Duvall's unshakable calm and precision, while Duvall, who despised self-indulgence, saw Brando's behavior as an insult to the craft. Things reached a boiling point during one scene discussion when Brando reportedly dismissed Duvall's suggestions with a mocking smirk. Duvall, never one to back down, shot back with a cutting line that left the set silent. Though no one has ever revealed exactly what he said, insiders claim that the confrontation ended with Brando storming off to his tent, refusing to speak to Duvall for days. Their relationship never recovered. Years later, when asked about his experience on Apocalypse Now, Duvall praised Coppola's vision, but admitted the atmosphere was poisoned by one actor's chaos, a clear reference to Brando. He even once quipped, "Some people mistake laziness for depth. I don't." That biting remark became legendary among film circles as a coded jab at his former co-star. But the Duvall-Brando clash wasn't the only one that defined his career. He also had a famously strained relationship with his Godfather castmate Al Pacino. While both men respected each other's talent, Duvall grew increasingly frustrated with what he saw as Pacino's inflated ego after the film's success. Duvall had been with the project since the beginning, embodying Tom Hagen with quiet power. But as the sequels rolled around, he noticed that the dynamic shifted. Pacino's star power began to overshadow everyone else, and the studio's focus turned almost entirely to Michael Corleone. When The Godfather Part 3 came into development, Duvall was offered a role, but the salary negotiations turned bitter. Duvall was reportedly offered less than half of what Pacino was set to earn, and rather than accept what he saw as disrespect, he walked away. He later remarked, "If they'd paid me a fair wage, I'd have done it. But they didn't. They paid Pacino 3 times more." That's not right to Duvall. It wasn't just about money. It was about imbalance as symbolic of Hollywood's shift toward celebrity worship, where hype overshadowed substance, and that reality infuriated him. He didn't hate Pacino for his success. He hated what the system had turned him into. Still, Duvall's true disdain always seemed reserved for Brando, the man who represented everything Duvall detested about the myth of the tortured artist. While Brando's performances were undeniably brilliant, his disregard for punctuality, preparation, and collaboration deeply offended Duvall's sense of craft. In later interviews, Duvall would occasionally take subtle digs at Brando's legacy, saying things like, "He had moments of greatness, but he wasted a lot of time playing games. And some people call it mystery. I call it laziness." Even decades after Brando's death, Duvall never softened his opinion. That lingering bitterness reveals something fascinating about him: that his hatred wasn't rooted in jealousy or competition, but in moral conviction. He truly believed that acting was sacred, that showing up on time, knowing your lines, and respecting your crew were the foundations of greatness, not mystical mood swings or diva antics. And that's why Brando, for all his brilliance, became the one man Duvall couldn't stomach. It's almost poetic in a way. 2 men who embodied opposite ends of the artistic spectrum. One pure instinct, the other pure discipline, destined to clash in one of the most chaotic productions in film history. Yet, even in his disdain, Duvall's perspective offers insight into the soul of an actor who cared more about the integrity of his craft than the adoration of fans. While Hollywood often romanticizes chaos, Duvall stood as a reminder that real greatness comes from mastery, not myth. In the end, the feud between Robert Duvall and Marlon Brando, and to a lesser extent Al Pacino, isn't just a tale of personal dislike. It's a reflection of 2 competing philosophies of art. Brando believed emotion should lead, even if it meant breaking every rule in the book. Duvall believed structure and respect were the true backbone of storytelling. And though history has crowned both as legends, it's clear that for Duvall, the respect he demanded was never about fame. It was about honor. He once said, "I don't need to be liked by everyone. I just need to do the work right." That quote perfectly sums up why he's one of Hollywood's last true purists, and why, for all his decades of brilliance, the memory of that one actor he truly hated still lingers like smoke after napalm in the morning. Thanks for watching.